Greetings dear friends, Dragon here once again, back with another Eastern Heroes preview, and this one for the most recently released issue, which is the issue 5 technically, which is also the Urban Action Showcase special, just ahead of the actual Urban Action Showcase itself in November, so this is around just in time. We get a couple of goodies if you order from the Eastern Heroes website. We get a kind of a reproduction of couple of the episodes of the Stop Kung Fu TV series that Ricky did with Jonathan Ross. Very good fun, a little bit cheesy, but very good fun to see. There's like 2 other episodes in here. We'd previously seen the other 2 episodes with another magazine. And then we get also a big version of the cover, looking pretty damn cool. And without any further ramblings, we'll jump into the actual issue itself. So this time round we get Rick's editorial at the front. We also get our little content section, and we dive straight in with a feature by Martin Sanderson on the wonderful Yuen Biao. This is very much the year of Yuen Biao just now. We're getting loads and loads of special editions onto Blu-ray of some of his best films, which is really kind of wonderful and not before time. So Martin takes a little look at Yuen Biao's career, speaks about some of the kind of high points in his filmography and his time alongside his brothers, alongside Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan. Pretty cool, along with some kind of new behind the scenes stills, still from the Champions there, a promo poster for Eastern Condors. Very cool. Then we get Into the Black Dragon, an interview with Ron Van Clief by Jason McNeil, having a great opportunity to speak to Ron about his incredible career, highlighting some of the amazing movies that he made over the last 4 decades now, because he's still working. Pretty cool. Then we get Revenge, Death Games and Angry Ranger by Shahzad Asghar, and he talks about a couple of kind of rarer titles that he's been able to pick up on VCD, kind of ones that he would be hopeful at some point would make the transition onto DVD or onto Blu-ray. Then we get a great little look at the Kwan Tak Hing, the original Wong Fei Hung by Dave Cater. It's always great to see, especially with some rare stills, because it's really hard to kind of find these films. There's a couple on YouTube, and they're always quite short, but you can kind of still track them down, unfortunately usually without subtitles, but kind of very great to see. But it's really only his later performances that he did for Sammo Hung, so you can still see him in The Magnificent Butcher, and you can see him briefly in Dreadnought. Yeah, wonderful. I'm a huge fan of cowboy culture, so yeah, weirdly was always seen in a cowboy hat in the later years of his life. Pretty crazy. Then we get Chanimation, the cartoon world of Jackie Chan by Thorsten Boost, looking at a few of the attempts to try and put Jackie into cartoons. Some of these I knew about, some of these I absolutely didn't. Some of these are extremely cool. I had no idea that Monkey Punch had planned to do a series. Monkey Punch, the man behind Lupin III, which I'm a huge fan of, and so it was a real treat seeing his sketches and his mock-ups for how a Jackie Chan character would have looked if there'd been a Jackie Chan cartoon in the vein of Lupin III. Incredibly cool. And we get stills from the episode of Celebrity Deathmatch, Jackie Chan Adventures, which I think a lot more of us will be familiar with from our own childhoods. Jackie Chan's Fantasia, the all-new Jackie Chan Adventures, the spin-off from Little Big, and obviously his work on Kung Fu Panda. Pretty great article. Then we get Alan Duncan, our poster guru, joined by Peter Scott to take a light-hearted look at their own bespoke Kung Fu movie review rating system, which is pretty great. And they kind of speak about how they assess the films that they're watching together. That's a pretty good read. Alan's a great dude. Then we jump into my other friend, into London Ron, who's done Jackie Chan at the Prince Charles Cinema, speaking about the time when Jackie came to visit, and Ron was absolutely in attendance around the time of Chinese Zodiac. Very cool, along with a few pictures from Ron's own archives, him meeting the Raid director Gareth Evans there. Pretty cool to see. Ron always does a great job. Then we get a little feature looking at Robert Samuel's work on the movie Ugando con Fuego, which he made fairly recently, quite a low budget film. They kind of speak about putting together the production. We get a spotlight on Aidan M. Cochran, speaking about how he found martial arts, and speaking through his practicing of the arts. And we get Scarlet Gross, The Battle from Script to Screen by Dean Meadows, speaking about another quite low budget production, and kind of like really it's good to still champion the martial arts movies that are still being made and not always just be looking backwards, and this is one of those instances. Very cool. Michael Nisbet gives us a Bruce Lee pilgrimage, speaking about his own journeys back to kind of visit Hong Kong and to kind of visit the various, basically following Bruce's footsteps. And Simon gives us a little breakdown of the next Urban Action Showcase and Expo, which is going to be their 10th anniversary special, and speaks about how the UASE has evolved, where it's going and where it's at just now. Rick's going to be in attendance at the next one at the beginning of November. He's heading over to New York for it. Then we get Carl Scott, the man, the myth, the legend. This is an interview by Rick himself, speaking to Carl Scott about his time making movies in Hong Kong. A number of the features that he'd made alongside Bruce Lee. The wonderful Soul Brothers of Kung Fu, which also got Ku Feng in it. Very, very good fun. Another showcase linked to the UASE 10, speaking about its legacy and lineage, along with some kind of great reproductions of some of the flyers they've printed up for some of the guests this year round, speaking about who's going to be in attendance. Then we get the announcement of the premiere of the Game of Death Redux, which is going to be screening at the UASE on November the 5th. Remember the 5th of November, which Rick will be in attendance for, so we kind of get our promo posters for that. And we get Wireless Kung Fu by Alan Duncan and Daniel Mauricio, speaking about different radio spots that have been produced, often on vinyl, sometime on reel-to-reel cassette, which are basically kind of radio adverts. And speaking about that little sub-genre of collecting, because there's still quite a few of them around. Very, very hard to track down, but pretty cool to kind of see Alan speaking about the ones that he's been able to track down. Then Hector joins us once again to do a little kind of revisit of the newly refurbished Alamo Drafthouse in New York, which is kind of added, thanks to the RZA, has added a flying guillotine room or chamber or area, essentially, of the cinema, which looks pretty cool, with a bunch of incredible posters there. I think some props from the Flying Guillotines movies, wee boards that you can kind of take pictures of yourself breaking, a little Wing Chun practice dummy. Very cool, in Staten Island in New York, so if anyone's in New York, absolutely head down and visit the Alamo Drafthouse. Then we get another Rick interview, this time around with the wonderful Amy Johnston, who has been doing more and more bits and pieces. I think I saw her in a couple of the Scott Adkins movies, but she also did Lady Bloodfight, a bunch of other movies too. Pretty dedicated martial artist and really incredible performer and great actress. So kind of really interesting interview. She also was recently on Scott Adkins' Art of Action, and I'll leave a wee link down to that episode below because that's absolutely well worth checking through. She's kind of really engaging when she's being interviewed, kind of really interesting to listen to, and the interview here with Rick is no exception to that, as is the interview that she did with Scott Adkins. Yeah, kind of great performer. It's kind of good to see a new generation of martial arts performers still going strong. And then we get another interview with Rick, this time around with Vincent Lin, who many people will know from his turn as one of the villains in Operation Condor, and his work alongside Donnie Yen's work for Yu Ping, amongst many others, along with some stills from his own personal collection, which is very cool to see. Then we get me, and I was a very late entry this time around, just made it in time. This issue I was chasing the deadline for, but I managed to kind of get in my first imprint review of Shawscope Volume 2, so kind of speaking about the box set as a whole, the Police Ray trilogy in 4K, the Iceman Cometh, the Vinegar Syndrome release, some great new titles from Spectrum Films, so looking at their double feature releases of Lady Assassin and Secret Service of the Imperial Court and Hot Price Honesty and Gangmaster, and then 88 Films' recent deluxe edition of Yuen Biao's On the Run, which takes us back full circle to where we began with our Yuen Biao special, and that is it. That is the issue. So yeah, like I say, it's still available on the Eastern Heroes website. Will also be available through all the usual suspects, through Barnes & Noble, and through Amazon. I will leave links down to all that good stuff down below. I've fairly recently started up a Patreon. Thank you again to everybody who has already signed up. If you would like to consider trying to support the channel that way, I would be very, very grateful. My eternal and very humble thanks go out to Kevin Smith, to Johnny Wheats, to Dustin Lewis, to Owen Jones, to Carlos, to the Asian Cinema Guy, to Matthew Miskick, to the Big Movie Freak, to Andy T, to Andy Dolloway, to Alistair Dyson, and to Bing Bong Lore, who have already signed up for various different tiers. If anyone is in a position to kind of help out that way, I will leave a link down below, and you can take a wee look and see what's on offer over there. Thank you very, very much for watching this. I will see you on the next one. Take care.